Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is your boy James from What's Your Forte, and today we're going to be talking about the differences between the ZF8 that is in my current G80 M3 and the DCT transmission that was in my previous BMW M4. All right, let's get it. All right, everyone, so as I stated, this video is going to be comparing the DCT to the ZF8 that's in my current car right now. So first we're going to talk about the ZF8. So right now I'm just driving around. It's in regular drive mode and in the shift setting of 1. So for those that do not know, the G80 M3 to ZF8 has 3 shift settings. So you have level 1, level 2, level 3. You previously had that in the last year's M3, M4 as well, where you had the shift level 1, shift level 2, shift level 3. So it's like the shift in the DCT, it was like the clamping force. It would clamp a lot harder, shift a lot faster. And this, it does shift a lot faster as well. This isn't a dual clutch or any type of transmission. This is a torque converter, so it just shifts a little bit faster. You can definitely tell it. You can definitely feel the difference when you have it in level 1, level 2, and level 3. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm about to get up on the road, get a little open area, and I got a camera right now on the dash cam as well, so y'all can see how the transmission shifts. And I'm gonna do level 1, level 2, and level 3 in regular drive mode. All right, so this is the car shifting itself, and the car right now is in comfort mode. I'm gonna do it in comfort mode, I'm gonna do it in sport, and then sport plus, so you can kind of see the full differences. Then after I get finished showing you guys that, I'm gonna go ahead and do talk about, then after I finish doing that, I'm gonna go ahead and compare the DCT to, then after I finish doing that, I'm gonna compare the DCT to the ZF8. All right, and give you the pros and cons and what I think of each, since now I've owned both. So now I'm just gonna slightly accelerate, and you can see how the shift speeds is in the most comfortable setting of 1. So I went up to 60 there, and you can kind of see I wasn't trying to punch it or do anything aggressive like that, just the basic regular shifts. And yeah, so car shifted very comfortably, everything was super smooth, no muss, no fuss. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and put it on level 2. So now that it's on level 2, I'll be able to show you guys exactly what's going on right here. All right, so now I'm on level 2. I'm gonna get down to about maybe like 15 miles per hour, then accelerate to 60 again, very slightly. All right. All right, so you guys can tell just on shift level 2, it holds the rev range, it goes up a little bit higher, and it just kind of gives you, goes basically just higher in the rev range, and you can feel a little bit of a difference. Hopefully my GoPro that's pointed at the dash, you guys can see the kind of the difference of the shift speed there, and it does shift a little bit faster, and the revs go a little bit higher. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn around, and then we're going to go to level 3. All right, so now we're on level 3. I'm gonna go ahead and get it about 15 miles per hour, and then I'm gonna give it a little bit of gas. All right. All right. So you really can see that the car really holds the gears a lot longer, and I don't think it went up as high either. It didn't. It held that 4th gear a lot longer with the 3rd level than it did in the previous 2 as well, if I remember correctly. I'll definitely go back and look at the footage, and you guys could tell as well as you're looking at the dash as well. So that 3rd shift setting is the most aggressive, and truly I kind of feel like you only really need 1 and then 3. 2 is kind of like, it's not aggressive enough to really make that big of a difference, but 1 and 3 there is a difference. So truly, I mean, really 1 and 3 is really all you really need, to be honest with you. So the 2 is there, but I don't really use it. I'm always either on 1 if I'm just cruising around, want to be comfortable, or 3. I don't really ever go to 2 that much. So now I'm gonna go ahead and put the car in my M1 setting. which kind of turns everything up to sport. And then I'm gonna put the shifts in 1, 2, and 3 in sport. See if there's any real big noticeable difference with the car in sport mode. So now the throttle mapping is a little bit more aggressive. Throttle input is a little bit more aggressive. So we'll see if that really makes a difference. All right, so I'm about at 15 miles per hour. So now I'm just gonna give it a little bit of gas. So right there, you guys can tell that it shifted a lot more aggressively. Speed went up to speed a lot quicker, but it went all the way up to 5th gear. So y'all remember last time we was in the 3rd shift setting, it only went up to the 4th gear. So now I'm gonna go ahead and slow down a little bit, put it in level 2, slow down about 15. All right, now I'm gonna give it some gas. So even on level 2, it still shifted to 5th gear. It did accelerate a lot quicker, and that's because of the throttle mapping and stuff like that. But level 2 doesn't feel that bad. So I may even make it just level 2 and level 3 and just forget one altogether, because level 2 isn't really that bad. I may make level 2 my new comfort setting, because right now I have it on 1. But level 2 is really not that bad, man. Maybe you don't need 1. Maybe you just need 2 and 3. So what I'm going to do right now is turn around, and then now we're going to put it on level 3. So now I'm on level 3, shift setting in sport mode. All right, so I'm gonna get up to about 15 miles per hour, and then we're gonna give it some gas. So now. Wow, so it really held those gears. I'm only in 3rd gear right now, so you really can tell the difference. It didn't even get up to 4th gear. So y'all remember when I was in regular comfort mode, it went up to 4th gear in the 3rd setting. Now that I'm in sport, it only went to 3rd gear in the 3rd level. So that's pretty interesting, man. So you can really see the differences there. And I definitely had to get off of it because I'm still within the break-in period, so I'm not really supposed to go above 5K, and it was kind of getting there on that. It was kind of getting close to 5K there. So, all right, so definitely a difference, and definitely you can tell the car is accelerating faster as well. Now what we're gonna do is put the car in Sport Plus mode. All right, and then put the shift setting on 1, 2, and 3, and see what the biggest difference is. All right, everyone. So now the car's in Sport Plus, and now I got the shift setting on 1. So now let's go ahead. I'm gonna decrease my speed right now to about 15 miles per hour and accelerate to 60, and let's see how it feels. Very smooth. It is a lot more aggressive, but still very smooth shifts all the way to 60. So now let's slow down, put it in level 2. Slow down about 15 miles per hour, accelerate to 60, and let's see how that feels and how that looks. All right. It got to 60 really quick. Only went up to 4th on that one. So that was pretty cool right there. So now we're gonna go level 3. So this is the top shift setting in the drive mode and in Sport Plus. So we're gonna see how fast this gets to 60 and see how hard it holds the gears. Hopefully it doesn't go above 5K. If I do see it go above 5K, you know, I think I'll be okay to go above 5K, like slightly above it. I just don't want to go really high above 5K because I am within the break-in. So I'll definitely keep an eye on the tack there and make sure I'm stay within the safety range. I'm actually going back to the shop. If y'all see my previous video, one of my previous videos, I was talking about the steering issue. I am still having that steering issue. I'm gonna take the car back to the dealer next week and have them address the steering issue. And I'm like, look, keep the car until you fix the steering issue, and then 2, also do the break-in, because right now I'm at like almost 900 miles. I think I'll do some driving this weekend. And I'm gonna try to get as close to the 1,200 miles as I can. And I'm just gonna tell them, look, you already got the car, just go ahead and do the break-in. I don't care if that is before 1,200, just go ahead and do it. I don't know if 100 miles is really gonna make that big of a difference. So hopefully they don't give me any issues hopefully they don't give me any problems doing the break-in a little early, since they already have the car. Just go ahead and do it all at once, so I don't have to keep going back to the dealership, you know. So now we're in Sport Plus, shift level 3 in drive mode. I'm gonna get up to about 15 miles per hour, and we're gonna see how this thing accelerates. All right. So we got up to 60. Interesting that it went to 4th gear on that run. So that could be me. That could be me pushing the gas a little bit harder before versus now. So I'm gonna try that one more time, because we didn't even get, we stayed in 3rd gear when it was in sport mode, but in Sport Plus it seems like it's going all the way to 4th gear. So that could be me. It could be user error. So I'm gonna slow down a little bit. All right. It's still going to 4th gear, which is very interesting. So in sport mode in level 3, it went to 3rd gear and held it a little bit longer for some reason. Like I said, that could be me. It could be, you know, me not hitting the gas as hard or as aggressive as I did before. But as you kind of see, that's kind of how it's shifting. So all right, everyone, so now we're in the part 2 of the video, where I'm going to be talking about the differences between the DCT and the ZF8 that is currently in this car. So off the bat, this is my honest opinion. This is not a scientific you know, comparison or nothing like that. This is just my opinion, being an owner of both the cars and kind of going through you know, everything that I feel right now owning this car versus owning my M4 that had the DCT. Let me change the suspension because it is bouncing. Let me just put it in comfort, so y'all don't see a lot of shaking and stuff going on. All right, so just driving this car on a daily basis versus my M4, this is a better daily driver. It's just a lot smoother. You know, the shifts are very smooth. Everything's more comfortable. Now, of course, when you throw it in Sport Plus mode and, you know, you got it in level 3 or you're running through the gears yourself, I mean, this car can become a track animal. As y'all saw in my performance delivery video, you know, me and John was really ripping this car, and this car is super capable on the track, and you feel like you can do a lot on the track with this car. So it isn't that the fact that this car is not capable. It's just, it's like it can solve both issues of being, if you have one car to buy and you want an ultimate daily driver and something you can take on the track too, this is the car to get. This is the one to get. You know, I really couldn't say that about the F80 or F82. For some people, that car may have been a little too harsh for some to be your ultimate daily driver and track car, so to speak. So I would say this is a better ultimate one car daily driver. If I had to really choose, for me personally, I'm choosing this all day long. And that's mostly because of the, like I just talked about, the way, like I'll say it like this. When I had my F82 M4, if I try to punch from a light, if I messed up, if I missed, or if I didn't hit it just right, I'm jerking. You know, I'm jerking in the car, the transmission's jerking. If I don't just punch it super aggressive and then just go ahead and hit the gears or let the computer do it, like if I don't punch it and all the way commit, the car is jerking. And it's super uncomfortable. It looks embarrassing for people looking at you, and they're like, man, well, that guy don't know how to drive his car, and it just looks kind of crazy. And this car, I know I can punch it from the light all day long, and I'm good. I'm not gonna have any issues. It's not gonna give me any herky-jerky stuff or nothing like that. So that right there was already a plus. I would say I was a little timid about punching that car from a dig sometimes when I was in my F82 M4, also because the way the torque came in at such a low RPM, so you know, you can get a little tail happy or you're burning your tires. This right here, I think the way they delivered the torque is, you know, the torque curve and the way this is, way the torque is delivered on this car is totally different. And you're able to launch a lot easier. So which I will be doing launch control videos once I get out the break-in period, taking you through the full how to launch this car. But I would just say, just from a dig and not using launch control, just punching it and lights, this thing is a lot easier. Now, is it as aggressive or as violent because of the DCT? I don't think so, but I mean, it's just a comfortable, smooth car that I feel like you're not gonna have any issues with. Whereas I can't say the same thing about the DCT. Another thing, the DCT that I think has positive on this car is, I will say, even in the most aggressive shift setting, which I'm actually in right now, and in Sport Plus mode, I still think the DCT shifts faster. Is it like night and day faster? I don't think so, but it does shift faster. I will say that much. The DCT just gave you that extra kick in the pants, where it was like, it felt like somebody was kicking you from below the car, and they was just like, bah, like it was just, every time you hit a gear, it felt like somebody was just punching the bottom of the car. Like, it was just so aggressive, and that clamping force, like, if you haven't driven a DCT F80 M3 or M4, like, drive one, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. But in this car, in the most aggressive shift setting, where I'm really getting on it, granted, I wonder if that's going to change once I do the break-in, but right now, just getting on it and going through the gears, it shifts fast. It shifts like I want it to, but it's still not as quick or as aggressive as the DCT. Is that a good or a bad thing? Just really depends. If you're really, really looking for that sporty, super sporty experience, they have the manual for that. If you want to have the manual, but should they have put a DCT in this car? I think I would have loved to seen this engine with a DCT. I think it would have been a great pairing, and I think that the speed would have been a lot faster with the way that this engine delivers power. But we'll work with what we got. I mean, I think I'll be fine. This car feels plenty fast. And we'll see once I get the draggy out, once we go through the breakthrough, see what the times are, and we can start comparing those numbers, But this car is about 200 pounds heavier, but we'll see how that goes, man. I mean, I'm happy with it. I'm happy with the purchase. I'm not saying I'm not happy with it, but the DCT I would have loved to see that combo in this car. And if they still have the CS that they're coming out with, and maybe the GTS, maybe they'll come up with a DCT to put in those, and the more aggressive track focused cars. I don't know, we'll see what happens, And if you still want that super raw experience, you can get the manual. The manual does come with less power than the competition, but that's what tunes are for. As soon as we get some tunes out, I have heard a rumor that EcuTech has a tuning package available. I reached out to some of my contacts, and we're doing some investigating, trying to get a word back from them. If that's the case, y'all already know what's going to happen once I do break-in, man. So can't wait to get this car on a dyno. Can't wait to really test it and see how this car performs. All right. I had a little straight there, so I had to punch it just to really get on it. But yeah, hey, this car moves, man. I mean, I'm not even driving it to the full tilt right now, and I just can't wait till I get the break-in done. I could really go all the way to red line and really punch it. But yeah, this thing moves, man. It picks up and moves, man. A lot of people are like, this car it's not gonna be as fast, not gonna be as fun. It's fun, man. Get in one, drive it, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. One other thing that I have noticed about this transmission, the way it's set up versus the DCT, is, of course, in this car you have a park button now, versus in the dual clutch there was no park button. How you park was, you would come to a stop, pull the parking brake up, make sure the car was either in reverse or drive, and then cut the car off, and you'll see a P pop up. That's how you parked the previous generation. In this car, you actually have a park button, which is good for some people, because a lot of people used to get into the M3s and M4s with the DCT, and they didn't really know how to park the car. I will admit, my first time ever driving a M4, I didn't know how to park it. I had to Google it, figure it out, because I kept going to the hill, kept pulling the parking brake up, and the car kept feeling like it was rolling back. I was like, man, I don't want to mess this car up. And then I had to Google it, and I was like, oh, okay. So the fact that they have a parking button is probably going to be more convenient for most people that don't have that knowledge to get into this car and be able to drive it confidently. But another thing that I did notice was when you're in reverse in this car, and I'm gonna talk to him when I take this car to the dealership. If I'm in reverse, and sometimes I leave my hand resting on the actual shifter. If I leave my hand resting on the shifter and I kind of move it too much, the car will pop right out of reverse real quick, and it'll go right into neutral. And I don't know if that's how it's supposed to be. I am gonna bring it up to the dealership, but if I'm actually in reverse, my hand's resting on the shifter, and I kind of move it just slightly, just a little bit, the car will pop right into neutral. So what I'm gonna do is, when I get up to a parking lot up here, I'm definitely gonna try it out, and I'm gonna actually put my GoPro down on my hand to see if it can actually catch it, pop out of gear. So I don't think that's how it's supposed to happen that quickly and that easily. So I am gonna bring it up, but that has something that I've been noticed a couple times going in reverse in this car that did not happen with the DCT. DCT, you had to move it over. You had to like put some effort in, and this is the slightest movement and it'll pop right out of reverse, which is kind of weird to me. I don't think that's the way it should be, but I'm definitely gonna bring it up to a dealership here. Whew. Man, this thing, no, I may say that's other videos, but this car handles a lot better. Well, I would say this. I feel a lot more confident in this car driving around corners than I ever did in my M4. I mean, maybe that's the wheel setup, maybe that's the setup of this car, suspension, but I can feel like I could take curves at 100 miles an hour on this thing easily. I didn't feel quite that way in my M4, but you know. All right, everyone, so now I'm in the parking lot, so I'm gonna go ahead and try to mimic the reverse popping out of gear. So I'm gonna put the car in reverse. Got my GoPro going right here so I can see the dual view. So I got my car in reverse right now, and I'm just gonna reverse, make sure no one's behind me, and I'm gonna rest my hand on the thing, and then if you see how if you just touch it, boom, now I'm already out of gear, I'm in neutral. I gotta put it back in. So if you got your hand resting on it and you slightly move it like that, I mean, I barely did anything and it's already back in neutral. So as you guys can see right here, reverse, reverse, I barely touch it, and boom, now I'm back in neutral. So it is super sensitive. I'm gonna ask them at the dealership if it's supposed to be this way, but it is super sensitive. So any of you guys that reverse and then kind of rest your hand on the actual shifter, be wary, because this car will throw it back into neutral, and then if you hit the gas, you're just gonna hit a rev range, rev out, and you're like, what in the world's going on? You look up and now you're in neutral. So that is something to note that I have noticed with this vehicle and this transmission. It can pop out of reverse super easy. All right, everyone, so that's gonna be my DCT versus ZF comparison review. I will take this any day of the week. The ZF8 is great. It gives you the best of both worlds. It's about 90 to 95% of what the DCT was. The only place where I see the DCT beats this transmission is in super aggressive high-speed shifting and driving. The DCT is better, but this car right here is but this transmission right here, it's a beast, man. It's very capable, it's very customizable, and it's very easy to live with on a daily basis versus the DCT, man. And that's what I think it's all about. If you got one car and you only want one car, this is the one to get. If you have two cars, you got like your daily, and then you want like your super aggressive weekend street car, maybe the DCT is more for you, or maybe you get the manual. That's my take on the DCT versus the ZF battle or debate, so to speak. And I'll take this all day, man. That's just me. So as always, like, subscribe, comment down below. Let me know what you think, DCT or ZF8, man. Let's see the battle, man. I'm gonna be posting a poll up on my Instagram page, on my Instagram story, you know, DCT versus ZF8, and we'll see who wins the battle. All right, so it's gonna be pretty interesting. I think that DCT is gonna win, but we'll see what people say, man. Maybe there may be more people like me that be like, you know what, I'd rather have the daily comfort of a ZF8 over the super hyper aggressiveness of the DCT. So we'll see. But that's it, man. I'm gonna go ahead and end this video, do some more spirited driving, and I'll holler at you guys later. Peace.